All right, all right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube as well as Patreon. This is Pastor Dow. Hey, I got a particular video right here I want to use as educational purposes, and what I want to do is I want to try my best to inform you and give your mind something that you may not be familiar with. Now, if you have had any discipline whatsoever in life, when I mean if you played football, basketball, baseball, or any sports on a team level, be it high school, collegiate level, or if you've been in the military, all right? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, if you've been to any of these things right here, there is something that is called accountability. Most people in this world, for instance, right here, when we are free as civilians, we think that there's literally no accountability that we have. But you know what accountability is once you go punch that clock and you work on that job. Because your life, whatever you think that you have of it, doesn't matter when you go to that job. Because when you go to that job, you are there to perform that job. You're there to do that duty the way that the employer says, period, point blank, none. And you know what? No matter what level that you are at in life, and no matter where you employed or anything, there is always a level of accountability. The bizarre behavior is this, which I believe is deeply collected and embedded in the subconscious mind of man, is that once you come into a discipline like, let's say, church, assembly, or the faith, we think that accountability stops, and it's just myself and the Father. Well, you couldn't be no more mistaken in anything. Let me give you my own personal experience so you can comprehend and understand what I'm saying. I went to boot camp in 1985. And if those of you out there who like so loosely using the term or the word cult, if you want to know what a cult is, the military is the biggest cult you've ever seen in your life. You know why? Because in order to function in the military, and mind you, I'm going to say this, the military is socially acceptable in this world. It's amazing, isn't it? But as soon as you go in the military, they figure that they've got 8 to 12 weeks that they can actually tear you down, reshape, and reform your mind to be a soldier, to be a troop, or whatever you want to call it, be a Marine, be whatever it is. And it makes no difference what the discipline is to be an airman. It makes no difference. But they figure they got 8 to 12 weeks that they're going to reshape your mind. They're going to break down everything you've ever known in life, and you will conform, notice what I said, to the doctrine of the military. You will be a soldier. And guess what? Your will, your mind, everything about it, it ceases to exist. Did y'all hear what I said? Everything about it. Your mind, your will, your thoughts, they totally irrelevant. They don't even matter. Now, if I don't know what a cult is, that is. Think about this. You will do push-ups when you're told to do push-ups. You will run when you're told to run. You will eat when you're told to eat. You will sleep when you're told to sleep. Mind you, all of this takes place in the military. All these things you will do, and you will not backtalk. You will not trade words. You will not speak back. You will not rebel. You will not do any of these things whatsoever at all. None whatsoever at all when you are in the military. Y'all understand? See, most people who don't even comprehend and understand the military and don't understand some type of discipline, no matter what you're in, you don't talk back to authority in any way, shape, fashion, or form. And I'll give you an example. You see, when you're in any of these things, there's a level of accountability. There's a chain of command. And you are your brother's keeper. You are responsible one to another, be it football, basketball, baseball, hockey. It makes no difference. And they actually approach it like this. For instance, let's say if we're all out in formation in the morning, all right? And then the drill sergeant or sergeant comes out and says, well, where is Watson at? And nobody answers. So then next thing you know, the sergeant, the one that's in charge, he'll come up and he'll ask one soldier, where's Watson at? And he gets an answer, something like this. Well, I don't know. He should have got himself up out of bed. You know what happens in the military? The whole entire platoon gets punished because you know why? No man left behind. We're all accountable one to another. And we are only as strong as the weakest link. Now, when we get over here into the faith, being an Israelite, it's a crazy and bizarre thing that takes place in this world right here. And I'm sure that this bizarre behavior, which is deeply and collectively embedded in the subconscious mind of man, is off the chain, is totally irrelevant. It's amazing to me, because watch this. When we are in the faith, we don't think we have to submit ourselves one to another. When we're in the faith, we don't think that there's no level of accountability or any eldership whatsoever at all. I don't know where this comes from, this silent communication without force of breath. But that's not what I read in the book. As a matter of fact, you read 1 Peter 5:5, it says, likewise, you younger, you submit yourself to the elder. And not only that, you submit yourself to each other. And then it tells us a character trait, an attribute that we all need. We need to be clothed with humility, because it says that Yah, you call him God, he resists the proud, but give grace to the humble. Now, what's amazing is that once we accept Yeshua, Jesus Christ, all of a sudden, we feel like that we don't have to fall under any accountability of anyone that is in any level of authority whatsoever at all. Now let's go back over here to the military. Because you see, again, remember I mentioned to you, if there's ever an organization that would ever be considered a cult, it would be the military. Because again, I'm going to run it past you again. They don't ask you what time you're going to get up. They tell you what time you're going to get up. They tell you what time you're going to go to bed. They tell you what time you're going to eat. If they have you to do drills, you will do them. There will be no back talk. Your mind, your thoughts, your will is totally irrelevant. Why? Because there is a chain of command and a level of accountability. For instance, there are some things that I've learned in the military that is still ingrained in here, especially out there in the BNOC, which is a mid-grade NCO school, non-commissioned officer school. I'll give you an example. This stuff is ingrained in me, and it stays in there because as I went up through the ranks, is what I learned. Let me give you for instance, communication. That's what we're doing right now. Whether you understand it, believe it or not, there's an exchange of flow of information. The definition of communication is an exchange of flow of information from one person to another. We're speaking about the subject of accountability. Now, leadership is also big, because in the Bible, you've got pastors, you got elders, you got apostles, prophets, evangelists, teachers, deacons. Of course, in the old covenant, like many of you were referred to, you had priests, you had prophets, you had kings, you had judges, all of this then. And then when you fast forward to the New Testament, then we have all these other offices, all these other callings, that if you are not any of these, and I'm not talking about those you are self-appointed, we're talking about those who actually are functioning under the banner and the structure of the assembly, meaning that there's a level of accountability. For instance, at Straightway, we don't have a role for nobody to sign in order to be part of us. The way you become a part of us is that you are impeccable in your character. You will be a man or woman of integrity and honor. And if discipline needs to come down, meaning some form of ostracization or where we silence you, then you would just simply submit to that order. If you don't submit to the order, we just simply put you away from us. And see, I think that that's the problem that we're having today in this world, is that there's no accountability whatsoever at all. Because if you can just come and go as you please, you can just pick and choose to do what you want because you think that's the way it is. Now, let me go back to employment. Even your job today requires accountability. They make a work schedule. They tell you when you're coming to work, when you're leaving work, when you're going on break, when you're coming off break. Same thing as in the military. The difference is there's an illusion that you have so-called freedom. You can quit that job, you can go to another, but guess what? Either way it goes, no matter what you do in life, you will always be accountable to someone. What most people are not understanding is that those who enforce the discipline of leadership. Let me give you another example. All right, the definition of leadership is the process of influencing men in such a manner in order to accomplish the mission. And that men is in a generic form, meaning male or female. So there are things that we have to do as leaders in order to influence people to have the one heart, the one mind, the one soul, the one spirit in order to be on the same sheet of music. The problem that we're having today is that we name Yeshua, we name Christ, and we don't have to submit ourselves to no one. But that's contrary to what the word says. That's contrary to the layout of it. And of course, you know, the Apostle Saul told the people to go out and you ordain elders in every city. That's the reason why you ordain elders, because the people need to have someone that they are accountable to. And not only accountable to, but not only that, we're supposed to be accountable to each other. There's no big I's and big U's into this. period, point blank. In the Old Testament, the high priest was kind of like the ultimate authority, especially among the Levites, the temple service, the service of the temples, the worship to Yah. And the high priest had an order that he had to and maintain, a discipline to maintain. And he had all the other priests subordinate to him. Same thing today, even in the renewed covenant. Even in today's time and period that we're living in, whether you like it or not, there's always some form of accountability. But what we're dealing with more than anything is a rebellion that the scriptures haven't even spoken about today. There is this illusion in people's minds that they think they can go do what they want to do, live the way they want to live, say what they want to say, and nobody is going to check them on it. And anytime someone checks you on your attitude, or checks you on your discord, or checks you on the dissension that you're bringing about in your spirit, you rebel because you don't want to submit to no authority. But you won't do that on the job. You will not do that in the military. But you do it in Christ. You do it in the assembly, thinking that there's no level of accountability. You know what's going to happen? Because every single one of us are going to be judged on our role in the kingdom. You may think that you're getting by with this right now. And that's the reason why many people are ostracized. That's the reason why many people are just set outside of the assembly. Because remember, under the old covenant, the way you will put evil away from you, they had different judgments in the Torah based on the crime. Today, the same thing. But the problem we have today is that, well, you know, I'm a family man and I got my own family. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's fine. Yes, you can. You are the priest of your home. But when it comes to the assembly, and when it comes to anybody who's naming the name of Christ, that's where your order or your level of leadership, it stops. Because now we're out in a corporate entity, in a corporate level. And from that point on, that's where judgment is going to take place. And it's going to be according to Yah. And Yah's got this thing so set up just right that he makes sure that there are elders that are ordained, judges in the land, that we come together in a council, and that every word has to be established in the mouth of two or more witnesses. And he makes sure that we, just like the Supreme Court, just like the different executive branches and legislative branches and judicial branches here in the United States of America, everybody has a level of accountability they have to submit to. I think the problem today is iniquity, because we can go out and do what we want to do, and we don't think nobody is going to check us. And if anybody checks us on our behavior, if anybody checks us on our attitude, if anybody checks us on our spirit that we're trying to sell and pawn off on everybody else's righteousness, and when you get to the elders and they check you, the first thing we want to do is we want to bring accusation against an elder. But what does the word say? Against an elder receive not an accusation, but before what? 2 or 3 witnesses. Period, point blank. But we act like that you know, number one, you ain't my elder whenever judgment comes. I'm not going to submit your accountability or the accountability or the leadership of the assembly or the pastor whenever judgment comes. And that's the reason why today we have all this iniquity, all this carte blanche, all this individualism, and nobody can ever really fellowship. Nobody can ever really truly come together and be on one heart, one mind, one spirit, because everybody is doing that which is right in their own eyes. And you know what? You may think that you're getting by with it here in this life, but remember this: every single thing we do, every idle word, every intent is judged, because whatever you got going on down here is open scandal in Shemaim or in heaven. So you're not getting by, be it now or later. And sometimes you are paying for a lot of your rebellion right now. Let me give you another example, and I'm going to finish the video on this. Okay? I'm the leader of the Straightway Ministries. And under the Straightway Ministries, we have elders. All right? And we have accountability one to another. We submit one to another in the fear of Yah. Just because we're elders, just because we're pastors, don't mean that we are above the law. As a matter of fact, we are held to a higher standard of the law than someone who doesn't know, because to much is given, much is required. All right? Let's say that I had 50 wives, which you all know I do. You know I got 50 of them, all right? And let's say that one of you murmured against a wife that I decided to take. Now, if you go back to Numbers 12, you see what happened, right? Miriam and Haran, they had the unmitigated gall. They had the audacity to set up there and judge the very custodian of the law, who Yah himself rose up. And, you know, if you can't believe me, and I'm going to quote what Christ said this to all of us. He says, you can't believe me for the words that I'm speaking, then believe me for the very work's sake. All right, that's a key point now, because listen to this. If you find it hard to believe what Pastor Dowell preaches and teaches, then you have no other recourse to look at than the very works. Do signs follow me because I believe? Do I keep the commandments? Just recently, we just had a man come here and get up out of a wheelchair. Had a stroke, could never raise his arm past his waist, and now he can raise it all the way up top. Had another testimony of someone getting up out of a wheelchair in Arizona. We just had another testimony of Desmond Rennie, no more kidney disease, all this doctor verification. His wife got healed from cancer. Doctor's verification, all the way across the board. In other words, if you can't believe what I'm saying, and you find that very hard to comprehend, then believe the works. When you look at Straightway as a ministry, and we got over 6 or 7 communities that are popping up right now all over the place, including Straightway in itself. This is a viable working ministry in its end time that when you pick up the book and you read the book of Acts, you will see what we're doing, especially when you come here. You will see it. Totally undeniable that we're following the blueprint. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're doing it exactly the way that it was intended to be and laid out as per the apostles by the directions of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Now, I said all that to paint a picture to say this. And if you disagree with the wife that I've taken, wives, all 50 of them, all right, and you start murmuring against me, you know what you just got finished doing? You just got finished murmuring against the Most High Yah. You may totally disagree with my choice, but that's my choice and my decision, just like it was Moses' choice in Mikbah, the 12th chapter, or Numbers, the 12th chapter. You see, because Aaron was the high priest and Miriam was a prophetess, I guess they thought that their position entitled them to give a particular opinion about a situation, because Moses had already been married to, what in the world is her name? Zipporah, all right? He already had Zipporah for a wife. He ends up taking on the Ethiopian, the Cushite, and then they end up murmuring, what did y'all do? He set in precedence. He turned around and he smote Miriam with leprosy and put her outside the camp for 7 days. I don't mind telling you, there's people that straightway have sit down and disowned and disfellowship from this ministry for periods of time. And you know what every single one of them has done without fail? Every single one of them has done this without fail, all with exception of but one. All of them chose to rebel and say, I ain't submitting to that. I ain't doing that. Are you following me? Isn't that amazing? And guess what? And our lives are cursed for it. So they have to use ways. They have to try to, because they know that the ministry is anointed. So what they do is they go to people who are affiliated with us. They tell their one side of the story, which all of you out there should, anytime you even got an inkling that somebody even mentions our name or has been somewhere closely associated with us, stop the conversation right then and there, call us up and let us know exactly what's being communicated so that you'll be able to hear both sides of the story and put the picture together. And that way you'll be able to make sound judgment and decisions, and you're the ones going to make the determination if you're going to continue on in this relationship or not. That's what we have going on today in this world. And the hypocrisy is to the zenith. And most people, people today are lacking greatly in discernment. We have it because of experience of living with people. We live with them every single day. And so our level of discernment is up there. But anyway, back over here to Moses and Miriam and them. So the Most High judged this because he was highly involved in the Israelites' life. And said, because they were going to set precedents. Moses is going to write the Torah. The prophets are going to write the writings, the scriptures. And they are what we are supposed to be defining and living our lives by. These are the rules of engagement that each one of us submit to, bar none. So by the time the Apostle Paul came along and he spoke to us, all he did was reiterate the law to us in a way and in a form and fashion that we could all comprehend and understand, because of the many years of captivity and being in slavery, away from our actual culture and our heritage and our language and our actually own land. He had to communicate with us in such a way that we could understand what the law and the intent of it was really truly saying. I can only hope that in all these words that I'm putting together, that you can actually hear what I'm saying. Because today, people, they'll woo you with words, and they will say everything they can in order to extract anything they can out of you. But they're not going to be accountable to anybody. They're actually thinking that they are a law unto themselves, and they don't have to submit to each other, just like the word says. The word commands us and demands for us to submit to each other. And they don't think they have to meet any of y'all's conditions whatsoever at all. That they are a law to themselves, and they are the judge, the jury, the executioner, the priest, the prophet, the pastor, the evangelist, the teacher, the whole nine yards. And if you pay attention to their lifestyle, you pay attention to their character, they ain't submitting to nothing. They ain't submitting to nothing. But they will come and deceive you with feigned words. And they will make merchandise of you, especially when you don't actually check out the trail that in the wake that they have left behind. And that's what the devil is doing. That's why I say look at the devil, and the devil is a liar. So you get these people out here rebelling. You get these people out here running to social media network, making videos, talking about how bad PastorDowell is. Most of it, the complaint is because we've passed a righteous judgment on them that they and their wicked ass self didn't want to submit to, and they didn't like it. And so they go to the court of public opinion, which is the court of wickedness, because most of you don't even know the law of Yah. And I'm sure you got offended at that too. And they didn't like the judgment. And they think that they have escaped the judgment of Yah because they can use their own Gentile wicked mindset and escape the judgment of man for a moment of time. But guess what? Just like when Miriam was smitten with leprosy, when you get smitten with some type of disease, when you get smitten some type of sickness, because you have rebelled against the authority that Yah has already set up, the accountability that he has set up in Israel, the last thing is going to enter into your Gentile mindset that you are suffering the judgment of Yah. Do you know the reason why? Because that's not the way that your mind has been formed. Your mind has been formed, oh, I love Yah. But the real question is do you keep his commandments, and does he love you? Because in that commandment, he teaches us to not bear false witness against each other. And yet you break that commandment, and then you end up blaspheming the name of Yah amongst the Gentiles, or those of the other nations of the world. And you bring a reproach not only on Israel, and then the world sits and watch all this inwarn and all this infighting and all this undisciplined, uncouth, rebellious people that we are. And they see you speak against your leaders, speak against elders, because they ain't your leaders. You know why? Because you say they ain't your leaders. But again, the court in heaven says different. And you know it's different. You know the reason why? You have no anointing. You can't get healed. You're still bitter. You're still envious. You're still jealous. You're still vindictive. The whole nine yards. You still have malice and ill will in you. You're jealous. All these you can't even escape from. You can't even purify your own heart and spirit. You can't even get rid of, because of the principles that you have adopted, which is contrary to the Torah, contrary to the law, the instructions. And when you're in this, and you're in this way, you can't see how. Well, I didn't make you my judge. Now, first of all, we didn't even make ourselves the judges. Hey, you ain't my elder, fine and good. You still don't escape the law of Yah, no matter what you say. So I have to make these damage control videos and trying my best to help those of you out there who are lacking somewhat in discernment and really truly accept men's personage. Because I'm telling you, there's some stage players, there are some hypocrites out here that can paint for you the picture that they love Yah and they are the most loving and kind people, but you need to really truly start checking them. Now, I know that the Bible teaches us that we're determined not to know anything amongst ourselves except Yahshua and him crucified. But there are a lot of people that are naming the name of Yah, and they have never departed from iniquity. I end this video on this. Most people who don't even have the Ruach, that means the Holy Spirit, they love touting to us that Jesus said, he's going to say to you, you depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for I never knew you. You know, those of us who say that we have cast out devils, we have done many marvelous works in your name. Yeah, that is true to the ones who actually practice and live in iniquity and sin. That's not us. That's not us. What's really a scary thing is this. What is he going to say about you who didn't even make an attempt to do what he told you to do. Did he not say heal the sick? Did he not command all his disciples to cleanse the leper, raise the dead, and cast out devils? Did he not command you to do that? So what are you when you don't do any of that? You think you're going to get a pass and a bye when all you have is a head covering and 2 seats? You think you're going to get a pass and a pie when all you do is you carry a shofar and have a menorah on your shelf? You are out of your mind because you have not even done the will of Yah. You are in some very serious trouble, because the bottom line is signs follow them that believe. Period. Read Mark 16. Read the account for yourself. Well, accountability. We all will be accountable one to another in this life, whether you like it or not. You know the scary part about all this is that some of you who have rebelled the most against me, Pastor Dowell, if perchance you make it to the kingdom, you may even be under my rule and providence in the kingdom. Won't that be a shocker? That's the truth, and that's the truth straightway.